Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I have had a plan for the first few videos I wanted to do on this YouTube channel, but unfortunately things don't go to plan. Life never goes to plan. I don't know about yours, but mine certainly doesn't. So it's going to be a bit of a different video today. I started this channel purely as a way of documenting my life, which may sound quite extreme, but since my baby Tobias passed away in December, I have not wanted to miss a second. The first few months were just adjusting to life and learning how to actually cope with it. And now I've decided I want to do this YouTube channel because I wanted to embrace the fun things, remember life, and share it with everybody as well. I want to be able to replay that chapter I had with Tobias so much. I don't want to look back in 50 years' time and wish that I could replay this chapter. So hopefully I will be able to replay this chapter now. But yeah, so I had a few videos that I really wanted to do when I first started this, but unfortunately today is going to be another story. Last time I shared with you Tobias's story, now I have another story to share, and I really want you to hear it before moving on, because I want you to understand me as a person and my journey before I then go into all the pointless everyday things that, you know, the baking and the walking and the holidays and all of that is lovely, but I really want you to know where it's coming from. So I'm going to share with you another little story of things that have happened over the past few months. Yeah. So Tobias passed away in December, and the first few months were just trying to figure everything out. It just makes you reflect on absolutely everything. It was my job, it was my house, it was my purpose in life. I'd always wanted to be a mum, and to have that taken away, it just broke my trust in God. It broke my trust in the plan that He has for my life, and it just made us reevaluate everything. But a few months passed and I settled down, and Jake as well, he started to understand that we're not in control. I think we both felt very similar. We both always wanted to be parents, so the fact that that was taken away was really hard to deal with. But after a few months, we decided that we were ready to try again, to have our baby home and to have a family. And again, we were really lucky. We fell pregnant quite quickly. So it was great news. So last time I was recording this video, I was pregnant. Now I'm not. So I don't know where to start. I had a feeling I was going to have a miscarriage, and I can't describe it any more than that. I had a feeling, and I said it to one of my close friends, and I also told Jake, and I'm so glad I did, because I felt like I was warning him. And I said to them, I can't describe it. I just have a feeling that I'm going to have a miscarriage. And there's no reason for me to say that. I haven't had a miscarriage before, but I just knew. It's almost like God was preparing my heart or something. It was really strange. And then I woke up one morning, I think I was about 6 weeks pregnant, and I was bleeding. And you know the normal, you just go straight to Google, don't you, and start Googling things, and it says, oh, bleeding can be normal in the first few weeks of pregnancy. But I knew it was too much blood. It wasn't right. I knew that I was having a miscarriage. I just walked straight into the bedroom and said to Jake, I knew something wasn't right. I knew something was wrong. I'm bleeding. And he just said, oh, don't worry about it. It might be nothing. Don't panic. And I tried to explain that, like, no, something is wrong. Like, I think we're gonna lose the baby. And he tried to talk himself into calming down. He said, okay, well, it's really early anyway, so we don't really know much. Just wait and see how today goes. Wait and see how you feel. And as you can imagine, it just carried on all day. It was so painful. I just can't describe it. It felt like everything I had worked for was thrown back in my face again. I tried so hard to make sure it was the right time. I called the specialist hospital, I called our local hospital, I had meetings, I'd planned out this pregnancy with them and knew what to expect, knew what extra scans and extra tests we would have done. I tried to do everything to make this baby as safe as possible, and we'd only known about it a few weeks and it was slipping away. It just really upset me. It upset both of us. It was our second chance and it was coming to an end really quickly. After that day, I can't even remember what day of the week it was such a blur. The next day, the bleeding had calmed down as it normally does with a miscarriage. But I was getting quite a lot of pain in my side, and you read about it on Google, but it doesn't say what's normal and what's not. It doesn't say how much bleeding is okay. It doesn't say when to go to the hospital. So I took some painkillers. It didn't really do much. So after a few hours, I said I'd rather be at the hospital and get checked than be sat here worrying all night. So we went to A&E, and obviously it's a pandemic, and I wasn't allowed anybody in there with me. Jake had to leave me, and I was all on my own, sat in A&E. No one had a clue what I was going through. No one really cared what I was going through. They had their own problems to deal with. Eventually, after sitting there and trying not to sob constantly, one of the nurses pulled me in to take my blood pressure, and actually that's about it. She took my blood pressure. I don't know what the point of her was. And she just said, "So what's your problem?" What is your problem? That's what she said to me. I'm sat in A&E losing my second baby, and she just says, "What's your problem?" Where do you want me to start? So I said to her, "I'm pregnant, but I'm bleeding. I think I've had a miscarriage." And she said, "Oh, how far along are you?" And I said, "I'm 6 weeks, I think." And she just said, "Okay, let me take your blood pressure." And then she asked, "Is it your first pregnancy?" So I say no. I had a baby who was born at 30 weeks, but he's passed away. And when I said that, I just burst into tears. I think it was realising that I've lost a baby before and I don't want to go through this again. And you know what she said to me? She said, "I understand." In the most blank, plain expression you can imagine, she just said, "I understand." And for the rest of the appointment, she said absolutely nothing. She didn't say one single word to me. I've just told her that my baby died and that I'm losing my next baby. And she just goes, "I understand." Just like that. That's all she said. "I understand." And I was sobbing. And she didn't say anything. She didn't do anything. We're both wearing masks, so she can't even see my face properly. All she can see is tears falling down from my eyes. And she says nothing. Anyway, I've started on a rant now. She tells me to go back out and sit in the waiting room. So there I am, sat there again on my own, losing my baby, knowing that I'm going to get called into another room to try and explain the whole story again. Now, if you've experienced baby loss in any form, you will know that the most painful part is retelling your story over and over and over again. It gets harder and harder every time you say it, and sometimes you completely shut off and you have no emotion at all, and then other times you can't even get a word out because you're trying to hold back the tears so much. So I sat there anticipating the next person would be just as heartless. I started crying again because I was on my own in a room with my thoughts, and that's what happens when I'm on my own with my thoughts, I cry. So she called me in, and luckily this lady was so much nicer. She did say to me that life's really hard. She did tell me everything happens for a reason, and I know lots of people disagree with that, and sometimes I hate it too. But I'm a Christian and I have to believe that everything happens for a reason. I have to believe that, because otherwise, what is the point in all of this pain? I like to think that my pain and losing Tobias has taught me a lot of lessons, my family a lot of lessons, and hopefully it's helped me help other people. But really the bottom line is no one should lose a child, ever. Whether it's a miscarriage, stillbirth, when they're 7 weeks old, 7 minutes old, 7 seconds after knowing they exist, no one should lose a baby. The lady who I was with, the nurse, I'm guessing she was a nurse, had a disabled child, and she said, I used to pray, I can't stop crying now, I used to pray that I would have a baby. I didn't care whether it was disabled or what it was, I just wanted a baby at home with me. And she said, it's really, really hard. And now I wonder whether I should have him, whether I can cope with my child. I question my ability to parent him every single day. It just broke my heart. Because I knew that I would have done anything for that baby, and I would have done anything for Tobias. But some people aren't given the chance. And I think if you've experienced baby loss, you know that you're a lot stronger than you ever thought you were. You can do and you can overcome so much. It's really tough. And even the little things like going to the shops, you're surrounded by baby food or crying babies or mothers pushing their prams. Every little thing is so difficult. Seeing a picture of the beach, you want to take your baby to the beach, but they're not here. The first day of school, September, just the whole month of September, knowing you should be preparing your baby for school, and they're never going to get that. It's heartbreaking. So that was really hard to hear. But she was very sympathetic towards me. She told me to ask for certain tests from the doctors if it happened again. She told me to just be strong, and she just gave me so much encouragement that I could do this. And she didn't say it was going to be okay, but she just kept saying, you're strong, you've got through this, and you're going to carry on getting through it just one day at a time. And she was really, really lovely in that way. And so I left with a piece of paper for a prescription for some antibiotics. And that was it. That was this baby's story, just over in 2 days, just like that. And I'm really struggling to talk about it because I don't know what to say. It's such a complicated thing that I never understood before I had Tobias. The idea of miscarriage never really crossed my mind. I never understood it. I had one friend that had been through it, and I know now I said exactly what I shouldn't have said. And I regret that, and I've apologised so many times, but it's something I live with now. I know I shouldn't have said the things that I did because I didn't understand any of it. I didn't understand what it was like. But I guess that's why I'm doing these videos, because I want people to know that they can talk about Tobias, and they can talk about miscarriage and the hope of pregnancy, trying to conceive, and all the complications that come with pregnancy after loss. In a way, I'm dreading my next pregnancy, absolutely dreading it, but it cannot come quick enough. and I'm so excited for another chance to start a family. And one day, I do believe one day, we will bring a healthy baby home. And I cannot wait. At the moment, we have to live with an empty bedroom and an empty cot. We knew Tobias was poorly when we had our 20-week scan. And I decided I didn't want to put the cot up because I didn't want to be looking at an empty cot. And we did the right thing, because when we came home from the hospital in December, I didn't want to see anything like that. I didn't want to see the pram, I didn't want to see the cot, I didn't want to think of this as being Tobias's home, because he never came here. It wasn't his home. His hospital was his home, and he was loved there and he was looked after there. So we did the right thing at the time, but when we found out about this baby, I was so hopeful that we put the cot up. So now we walk past that bedroom every day and there's an empty cot sitting there where I know Tobias should have been. And I know that I should be standing next to it with my baby bump, taking pregnancy photos and dreaming of this child that's going to finally come home with us. And some days that cot, strangely enough, gives me a little bit of, I don't know the right word, not encouragement, but hope. It gives me hope, that's the word. It gives me hope of the future. It gives me hope of bringing a baby home. And I can just imagine this cot with a little baby all swaddled up, surrounded by teddies. I just really hope that one day it happens. But who knows? It's going to be a difficult journey no matter what happens, and I just hope that one day it does happen, and when it does, God will be on our side. God will be comforting us. I get so emotional just talking about God because I'm so angry at him. But I know that he is with me, because I would not have got this far without him. So yeah, hoping, praying for a happier future, for a future filled with children and love. I just want a baby to love. Yeah. So I guess this is the part where I say, if you've experienced baby loss in any way, I would love to talk to you. I would love to share our journey and try and help you as much as I possibly can. I'd find this journey much harder if I hadn't have developed friendships with other mums that have been through things similar to this. And I think it's through us talking about it gives us something to say to the people that aren't comfortable talking about it, and it allows them a little insight into knowing that you can talk about miscarriage, you can talk about stillbirth, you can talk about baby loss, because they are our babies and we want to talk about them. And it's so important to tell everyone how loved those babies are. So yeah, if you've been through anything similar, please send me a message, please subscribe, and hopefully we can go on this journey together and keep moving forwards. I'm not saying moving on, I always want to say moving on, but I don't mean moving on, it's just the words that naturally come out. I don't want to move on at all. I want to carry our babies forwards. I want to move forwards. And I am excited about the future. That was tough. Thank you for listening to all of that. Yeah, I hope some of you found it useful in some way, and thanks for listening to me ramble for a very long time. My next video, I'm really going to try and make a bit more happy. I've spoken twice now about my babies, I've shared my stories, and now it's time to just carry on living life and sharing a little bit of my baby's stories along the way.